Well, hey, everybody, I am so excited about the launch of Christian Teams that we had last week. And I've just gotten a ton of questions about what made you start a company in the middle of a pandemic while a hurricane's coming down on Houston. And it's a long answer. For years, we've looked for the right moment to say, let's staff the whole church, not just the top level, but the support level, which really is the spine of an organization. Those support roles can make or break things. And we've been studying and trying and researching for a long time, had our formula pretty put together. And then this thing happened called COVID. And like so many things that COVID did, COVID accelerated our efforts. COVID accelerated a lot of things, and it's accelerated the need for a new kind of support staff. And that's why I'm so glad I've got Armando Fullwood on with me today. Armando, if you know anything about AV or tech in the church, then you've heard of Armando. He's almost like Cher or Madonna or Elvis. It's just Armando. Thanks for joining us today, Armando.
Thanks, William. Glad to be here.
Yeah, you've been doing this with churches. I mean, you've had companies for what, over 20 years now, where you've helped them with their tech needs?
Yeah. I've been either stewarding a company or being part of great companies. I've been at this for 35 years now, and it's
wow. And it's changed a little bit, right?
Yeah, I'm probably the last of the group that saw a fully vintage analog style of creative into fully digital. So it's been it's a learning curve, and it's been
well. And the support roles that churches need now are so different. It used to be, can you run a soundboard? Can you mix? Right now,
that was the official creative media director of a church was can you show up and push faders, and it's evolved into this amazing expression of creativity, lighting, media, graphics. How do we express around the world the mission of the gospel?
And some measure of IT, right?
I would say now, I remember being back in the day at one of those church conferences where all the old guard was like, "There's no way I'm gonna be into IT. I got into this business to mix." Well, at the end of the day, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I have another Teams call. We said there's no way we're going to get an IT and computer, and here we are today. It is a fully IT base. Yeah. If you don't know computers, you're not in the game.
Well, and that's one of those critical roles that's critical to the support of a church. It's a great tech person that can run AV, kind of a jack of all trades for all these little pieces of producing. And one of the ways COVID accelerated the need for that. I think of my mother's little church, and Armando, you're from North Carolina, you know Morganton. It's a great little town. It's in the foothills, and some people would say the woods. But it's
close to God's barbecue.
It is close to God's barbecue. It's not exactly the cradle of innovation, right? So love it, grew up right around there, but it's not the place that's going to be leading innovation in the church. And Mom's church, wonderful church, First Presbyterian Church, got a brand new pastor. He's a great guy from here in Texas, and he's just doing an awesome job. I just kind of throw the hypothetical out there and say, you know, if he'd have walked into his elders meeting in January and said, I got an idea, let's stream our services online every week, they'd have laughed him out of the room. And now, guess
he probably wouldn't be the pastor.
And now, guess what they're doing every week? They're streaming online every week. I read recently that in January, less than 10% of all Protestant churches in the U.S. were streaming services every week. And now it's over 95%. So you've had this massive acceleration of tech and a hole where people need staff, whether it's part-time or a little bit, or, I mean, I talked to one pastor the other day at a very large church who said, we're gonna make 5 hires in the next few months. The first 3 of them are all gonna be digital or tech or support in that way. So there's a giant hole, and we've built this thing called Christian Teams. It's a wonderful process and delivery system, but now, Armando, we've actually linked together with you and Dive. You know all the tech people. You are constantly in touch with them. And now we're able to kind of hitch our wagons together and let Christian teams and dive work together in a way that will provide talent to the church that fits not just they know how to push buttons, but they fit culture, they fit competency, they have character. And I'd love for you to share the heart of Dive and why you're excited about this partnership.
Well, yeah, I love the fact that how many nights sitting at a dinner table where I going, William, we got to do this. You got to figure this out. You got to make this happen. And I think I was equally as excited when you called and said, hey, we're going to launch Christian teams, because again, my heart is always more about what is the culture of the team, how do we fit that in? Because a lot of churches will hire someone because they're technically proficient. And to me, inside of our dive process, where we develop story, then we develop the staff alignment to the story or the playbook, and then just the overall system structure that takes the alignment through the staff to the story, all in a technical construct. And so in our dive vibe, we talk about, EQ, IQ, and now CQ. And they're, intellect, then wisdom and knowledge, and then cultural fit. And the cultural fit is probably the leading cause of failure.
Yes.
For the tech creative.
Well, it's true for anywhere, Armando. We said for years, a critical staff hire is a lot like an organ transplant, and you can't just put any kidney in any body. There has to be a tissue match, and it doesn't matter whether it's a healthy kidney and a healthy body. If the tissue doesn't match, it's bad for everybody. So
that sounds like a book. I'm just saying.
It's great harmony with what your mission is and what ours is. And to think now, we've done thousands of staffing assignments. We've done tens of thousands of interviews. We've got a process down, and now you've got the talent pool to help fuel a very real need that COVID has accelerated. This is just going to be a cool thing to watch.
Yeah, for me, my heart is always, hey, I get calls all the time going, hey, how can I fit into this thing? And one of my big visions that I had shared with you over time was how do we, it's frustrating when you get somebody that says, hey, can you help me find the right place? But I don't have that skill set. I don't have that gifting. I have 35 years of listening to guys cry their heart out, because something didn't work. But if you don't have the ability to move that to the right delivery methodology, you feel burdened, you feel overwhelmed, because it's like, I want to help you, but I really, outside of the churches I know, I don't really know a broader scope of how to place it and how to vet it. I can vet skill set and heart, but what I've always been impressed with everything you've done in growing your company is that placement and vetting system and the heart behind it and the staff. And I thought, man, if we could ever figure this out, this will be such a need. And so it's just probably one of the coolest things to be a part of, because now I can help channel people in the right direction to make that right tissue fit, make that right CQ fit. And it's a desperate need, because I look across the landscape and the need to place creatives is at the greatest in my time I've ever seen. And so,
and I'd say, Armando, that I think it's fair to say there's a greater need for placing, and there's not been a system for doing it. There have been people, the creatives know each other. They're not.
Yeah. Point to point referral, friend to friend referral. That's all. That's how we've done it.
Yeah, but the world's noisier than ever, and the needs higher than ever. So we're excited to take a proven system and a proven process and a whole lot of repetitions with trying to find the right fit and pair it up with that thousands of tech people that you've got really at your fingertips. So thanks so much for being our friend and for partnering with us. It's going to be exciting to see what God does.
Yes.
So Armando, one thing that I don't think people realize, like when I was a pastor, a great day for the sound guy was a day I never noticed he was there.
Well, yeah,
So,
my tag is always better to be felt than seen.
yeah. And so I don't think a lot of people realize if you've been in a great venue at a conference, you guys probably were a part of it, or you knew the people who were. I mean, you've kind of been all over the world in the best churches that there are. So now you've got this network of people that we're able to link up with the Christian teams process and make sure that people who suddenly have a new tech or production need are able to find a real fit. Tell us a little bit about the network and the contacts that you've had over the years and why this partnership feels like the right thing to you.
Well, one of the big things for me is just, I get a lot of calls from techs who are in a misalignment, and there's just such a need to get the right person planted into the right culture of an organization. And I've spent a lot of years, I've been fortunate because of the worship artists I get to work with. I've gotten to see the world several times. And in that, in this time of my life, my focus is definitely more on cultivating next generation health. And the absolute mission of the gospel is paramount to my wanting to exist. And so in that, we've done a good job in creating talent. We can mix better, we can light better, we can video better, we can do IT better. But now it's how do you get that person who's developed their IQ into their CQ, their culture curve? And that is the missing link to success for someone going into this ministry. And with what you've developed through your organization, it literally is the best thing out there. And so having that ability to manage the other components and then collectively slide that into a culture curve component is just, it's just going to me, accelerate the ability to proclaim the gospel through what we do.
Well, it's a 2020 something else, right? But I tell you what a year to tell people about Jesus. I mean, there are more people that want to hear about certainty than ever before, and
hope. And I mean,
right.
We just got to counter the fear that is permeating every touch point of our life. And to me, it goes back to Genesis where he said, for what they meant for evil, God has turned it for good. And,
absolutely.
And I love this time where it's forced us to be the church.
Well, there's a lot of roles that Christian teams fills, whether it's a math teacher for a school or an administrator for a Christian nonprofit or a children's pastor for a campus at a multi-site church, whatever those support roles are. But I don't know of any more pressing need in support roles right now than in the tech world. With all these churches that have decided to go online all of a sudden, there's a giant hole. And now we've got the vehicle and you've got the network, and the two are going to come together in a way that I think is going to help churches find the right vehicle and people to proclaim Jesus online in a way that we wouldn't have been doing for arguably 10 or 20 years had COVID not happened.
Yeah. I'm pretty convinced, William, you and I would still be sitting at a dinner table somewhere in Houston, me going, please, William, do this. So
well, the backstory is for at least 10 years, Armando's been bugging me to start this company, and purely for tech. And we've been putting it off. And finally we were getting some traction, but the COVID acceleration into the tech world and into streaming services made us say, now's the time. So
we're good.
Thrilled to partner with you, man, and to try and do as much as we can to help churches go farther and faster with the gospel.
This is going to be great. Thank you.